We continue with our live coverage of the death of the late Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, who passed on at the early hours of this morning at the age of 95. Now, his death has been described as a loss not only to the Zulu nation, but to the country as a whole. Buthelezi played a central role to South Africa's transition from an apartheid state to democracy and occupied the position of Home Affairs Minister. And this was in addition to his other role and duty as the Prime Minister of the Zulu nation. And to discuss his legacy, we're joined by ANC spokesperson Mahlengi Bhengu-Motsiri. Good afternoon to you, Mahlengi, and thank you so much for your time. As we've asked other commentators as well in terms of their reaction in hearing of the news of the passing of Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, where there had been hope of his recovery. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having us. Likewise, like many South Africans, we join them, millions of them, and in particular, our colleagues in the IFP, his family, and those that have been associated with Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi in mourning this loss. It's a monumental loss, and one of our nation's elders, and somebody that will be remembered for countless things. And the ANC had a complex relationship with him having been born in the African National Congress, but there was always mutual respect and a lot of love shared by, in the first instance, his own generation of Oliver Tambo, Nelson Mandela, growing up together and being part of the founding moments of the ANC Youth League, all the way to a democratic South Africa. He was is one of the architects of the democratic order. And we will never take anything away from that. And also, up until the days of his passing, enjoyed a very warm and cordial relationship with leaders of the ANC, including our own president, as well as our former presidents.
Mahlengi, just take us back. You were talking about the complexity or a complex relationship that the IFP and the ANC had under the leadership of Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Give us a bit of the engagements, perhaps, that had led to be it a policy that was delayed or even promulgated because of those kind of engagements.
Well, the complexity I'm referring to, Cindy, is quite an easy issue. I think South Africans are well aware of the strife that existed in South Africa, largely apartheid-sponsored, and we would say that, and this is what we've said in our statement, which led to deaths and a number of massacres. A lot of families are still reeling from that, but we do wish to say on the record as the African National Congress that our country has lost a giant.
Yes, they call him a towering leader. Yes, ma'am. A towering leader, imposing, and one who would leave a very complex legacy. But in retrospect, what could have been done differently, I suppose, there's always room for improvement in how things could have been negotiated, settled, or even the outcomes. If it was predetermined, different choices would have been made. In your view, what are those different choices that could have been made to give us a different outcome as a country?
And I suppose that we would have avoided, for example, the Shell House tragedy, would have avoided Wipatong massacre and many others, if things and decisions had been made at a time that were in the best interest of finding a lasting, peaceful solution, for starters. Secondly, in fact, I think in the same breath, to be able to stop the violence that was raging in KwaZulu-Natal, the modern-day KwaZulu-Natal, happened as a result of his own contribution, alongside working hand-in-hand with senior ANC leaders at the time. Today, we have no such a place, at least that is known as a no-go area in KwaZulu-Natal. He made a contribution there. None can be taken away from that. So our statement is really to say that there must be a sense of measure, a sense of balance in terms of how we look at the legacy of Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Also, he was, one of his lasting, enduring legacies was also as a man that was known for a sense of decorum. particularly as a legislator. And we approach our condolences in that manner as part of trying to leave his legacy. Sense of decorum, and I think we also need to offer him that sense of decorum as we reflect on his passing. The debate about the complexity of his legacy is going to stay with us for the longest time. I'm sure scholars are going to write about it. Opinion makers are going to opine about it. But I think where the ANC is at this afternoon is to mourn with the Buthelezi family, with the Anglican Church. He was a very devout member of the Anglican Church, with the eNCA, our colleagues in the IFP, and with the community of Mahlabathini, as well as with the royal household in the AmaZulu monarch.
And what you're saying, Mahlengi, is also the fact that we're enjoying the fruits of democracy and the influence or contribution that was made by the likes of Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, in the sense that there is generally peace and order in South Africa, not looking at all the other social ills, but in general, the racial tolerance and acceptance of others as well in this united or formation of a united South Africa that we still are pursuing.
Without a doubt. And I think he needs to be credited for having been one of the team players in as far as securing a peace-building perspective. South Africans are free to reflect on the legacy of Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, but the position of the ANC is the one that says we honor the son of the soil, a patriot of our nation, and we've seen him in Parliament, even in his elderly stage, making interventions that were really nation-building interventions. I don't think we can take all of that away from Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Of course, for our part, if we are being partisan, we will speak about the fact that he was born in the ANC. And in his last days, he made a public call with tears in his eyes, asking for his membership of the ANC to be reinstated. That is something that was very heart-wrenching, heartening, and I know that the leadership of the ANC had been engaging on this matter through the leadership of Comrade Ramaphosa to look at how we can respond to the public call by the Prince. But this is not a moment to reflect on that. The moment now is not to do politics. The moment now is to really rally society to honor this great son of South Africa. Many things happened that would not allow us to ventilate those difficult moments in history. But I think as Africans, we also need to understand that there's time and space for everything.
We're going to have to leave it there. Thank you indeed. That's ANC spokesperson Mahlengi Bhengu-Motsiri speaking to us, also sharing her condolences and paying tribute to Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi.